The LEGO Lord of the Rings Barad-dur takes us back to Middle-earth on a 5,471-piece journey to build one of the most impressive-looking LEGO sets ever. Following in the footsteps of last year's Rivendell was never going to be easy, since it is to me one of the best LEGO sets ever made, alongside the Titanic. So what's it all about and how does it compare in terms of build, looks and minifigures? I'll let you know in a bit after thanking LEGO for sending these for review. The minifigure lineup is both impressive and lackluster at the same time. We get the two hobbits, Frodo and Sam, which are the exact same figures from the Rivendell set, minus the capes. Frodo has the One Ring, while Sam carries a sword and the Phial of Galadriel. Gollum is also included, was redesigned and features a new face print, which honestly feels like a downgrade when compared to the previous versions of the minifigure due to the lack of nostrils and pupils. The molded cloth piece in the back, printed with dark tan on top, was actually nice to see though. Now here is the impressive side of the minifigures in my opinion, an amazing orc selection, giving this set an army building vibe if it weren't for the size and price of it all. There are 4 orcs, all featuring distinct prints on the torso and legs, which is great, while the heads just come in 2 different kinds, both having alternate face prints. One does feature a new helmet, part of a new family of helmet pieces that came packed together like these, with 4 different kinds included, 3 copies of each of these, and 1 single copy of these 2, which are in fact the helmets both Sam and Frodo used to disguise themselves as orcs on their way to Mount Doom to destroy the One Ring. With this much variety, plus all of the weapons and shields included, you kinda see my point about army building, right? Next up is the Orc General Gothmog, equipped with a brilliantly printed chestplate, while under it the torso features the same print of one of the foot soldiers, with the difference being the tan arm to reference his deformed limb from the source material. These two, however, are the highlight of this set. First, the Mouth of Sauron, a character that has been done before but now features updated prints and a helmet piece made with a rubbery material. Same with Sauron's helmet and shoulder piece combo, a character that had never been done before in LEGO and probably the highlight of this set for many LEGO Lord of the Rings fans. He comes equipped with his mace, and under that impressive new element lies his minifigure headpiece that has this fiery look to it. These 10 compared to Rivendell's 15 feel to me like an overall better selection. The entire Fellowship of the Ring plus a few important characters are definitely a selling point for that product, but I think Barad-dur wins in regards to variety, newness and army building potential. And still in the theme of minifigures, there's a mini Mount Doom build that you can use to display and replicate the breathtaking final moments of Return of the King. Now onto the model itself, the thing is massive on display, and while I was impressed with the Artemis launch system I reviewed a while ago, the Dark Fortress takes it up a notch. Staying true to the movie reference, it goes up in height, while Rivendell was more of an horizontal build, which to me makes Barad-dur a LEGO model you'll have a harder time displaying, so bear that in mind if you're considering purchasing it. The all-black look of the tower section looks really good in person, while in the lower stages of the fortress some of these gradients of color can be seen, which I'm really not too sure about, especially on this middle section here. I can understand it at the base, as it could be seen as lava glowing its colors into the walls, but up here not so much, so I honestly think this middle section in particular would have looked much more impressive if it were all black. There is however a lot of detail and texture in the black portions of the build, which look amazing, making it quite fun to explore. Barad-dur was built intertwined with the mountain formations of Mordor, so that is also shown in the model, starting from the base on the left and going up until this spot. But again, I'm not in love with it. The use of dark tan for a splash of color doesn't really work in my eyes, and there's too many different kinds of slopes going in lots of different ways, not very cohesively, which takes away from the looks of it all. But as I've said before, the tower section is amazing. The shapes are flowing in a much nicer way, the all-black look looks menacing, which fits the purpose of the location well. There's a few windows made made with orange and grilled pieces as if fire was shining through, and the Eye of Sauron is the icing on top of the cake. It was definitely the most enjoyable and unexpected part of the whole build, making great use of opposing car mudguard elements for the eye shape. On the back, a red light brick is mounted at an angle that when triggered will shine its red light onto the eye, which looks good and is a nice feature to the product. But there's a few more, with the next I'd like to highlight being the opening gates, that do so at the turn of a brick on the side of the building, and I like how simple yet effective this thing is. Turning the fortress around will reveal the full-on interior, which could potentially be the cause for some discord. There's no visual or written reference material that describes what Barad-dur's interior may have looked like, so this is LEGO taking creative liberty at putting some fun in there. Considering the scale of the entire fortress, it wouldn't even make sense to include minifigure details inside, but scale issues aside, I don't really have a problem with most of these, while I think some people might. But before exploring the interior, this feels like the perfect time to mention that the model is split into 3 distinct sections, each with its own building instruction booklet, and I actually find it kinda neat how the different floors slide into place rather than just being stacked like the different floors of a modular building, for instance. It does feel like it had some stability during transport, though for such a large and tall build I would strongly advise against moving it as a whole unless you want to try and reenact what happened after the One Ring was destroyed. The structure is made of 5 different floors, with the ground one serving as the armory and smithy to the orc army. Freshly cast helmets, shields and weapons can be seen on display next to grindstones and anvils. Fun how a flow of lava was harnessed here to both melt the metals or as a way of torture on the opposite side of the room where someone unfortunately didn't make it. Back to the right side there's a small cave with a fish, probably a spot for Gollum to chill, and above it a hidden compartment with an Easter egg probably referencing Shelob. The next floor is a dining hall of sorts, which does bother me a little as I don't imagine orcs sitting around a neatly set table where they order the menu as stated in the sticker on the back wall there. I'm all for jokes and funny details in LEGO sets, if justified, but the subject matter here is a very dark place where this type of playfulness feels out of place, but maybe that's just me. In this room there's yet another hidden compartment, this time around referencing the 3 rings of power given to the Elf Kings. The throne room is a lot more mature and dark, which I like, with a bare black room, Sauron's banners and a neatly crafted seat probably belonging to the mouth. This knob here sticks out like a sore thumb, and pulling it reveals an amazing play feature, splitting the throne in half, while moving the walls to the sides in sync and bringing forward Sauron's Palantir. The way it all works inside is kinda simple, yet clever, which again I really enjoyed seeing. Behind the Palantir, a sticker map with Sauron's plans to conquer Middle-earth, stickers for stonework details on the sides, and the Palantir itself uses the crystal ball LEGO element and a minifigure head inside with 2 prints, referencing the White Tree of Gondor on one side and Bilbo's back end, referencing the Shire, both sadly burning. Above there's the mouth of Sauron's study, with a few more stickers for decorations on the back walls, including one with Sauron's portrait, and on the desk, Frodo's mithril shirt, the villain used to demoralize the king's army into thinking the hobbit had been killed. What's not a sticker are those window panes there with a neat print for scrolls, which I could see being very useful for custom builds. And finally, in the last floor, some sort of library with the biggest sticker used for details, stairs to reach the taller shelves that do spin in place, kinda reminding me of a similar play feature the big Hogwarts castle set had, and at the front some scroll with some hidden meaning I'm sure, even though I can't exactly pinpoint what could it be. And that about sums up what the model has to offer. When it comes to pricing, this one at $460, the piece count close to 5,500, an amazing minifigure selection and overall good value make it a solid purchase worth considering. In the end, if you do buy it, you'll be left with an undeniably impressive looking model, and if you're craving for new LEGO Lord of the Rings sets, this is it. Now, if I were to compare these two, as I said I would, when it comes to looks, Rivendell wins this contest by a long shot. It is to me a lot more appealing visually, and any non-Lord of the Rings fan would agree, even more so as I've seen countless people buying into it without ever seeing the movies or reading the books. It is that great of a LEGO model. And when it comes to displayability, the vertical nature of Barad-dur makes it harder to display on bookshelves and similar places, whereas Rivendell in that regard is a lot easier, winning once again some extra points. I honestly don't know where and how I'll keep the fortress, but I promise not to smash it like the Falcon. And then when it comes to the building experience, while I did enjoy the long hours I spent putting the LEGO Barad-dur together, with its clever play functions, inspired details and building techniques, those moments were spread too far apart over the course of this massive LEGO model, whereas with Rivendell I was blown away with some of the best building techniques I had ever seen in my life every other dozen pages. I'm sure there's tons of LEGO Lord of the Rings fans that will be over the moon with the LEGO Barad-dur, which is at the end of the day a very impressive LEGO model. Even more so if you manage to grab one on June 1st, links for purchase in the description, and get that Fellbeast gift with purchase set that honestly should have been made part of the set or as its own separate standard retail set. Barad-dur, however, isn't to me the best out of these two products by a mile, and we can disagree on that, but I do hope it ends up being just as successful as I'm assuming Rivendell was to justify a steady output of at least one Lord of the Rings set per year. There's a ton of locations that deserve the LEGO Icons treatment. Gondor or Helm's Deep for starters come to mind, and I'm sure a lot of us will be here for it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.